Hello my dear students. In today's video we are going to discuss about crystal field theory, which is also known as CFT. This theory deals with the study of structure, geometry and magnetic behavior of coordination complexes. This theory is superior or preferred over valence bond theory in various ways. Towards the end of this content of the crystal field theory, in some other video I will be discussing you about the comparison of valence bond theory and crystal field theory. But first and foremost, you should clearly understand the concepts of crystal field theory. Dear students, to understand crystal field theory, you need to understand the geometry of the complex and the structure of d orbitals. Now, presently in this video, I will be discussing you about crystal field theory application on the octahedral complexes. Octahedral complexes. So, dear students, when I say octahedral complexes, so they exhibit the three-dimensional geometry like this. You can understand. Look at the structure and focus on this structure to understand. Yes, now dear students, I think structure is clear to you. This is central metal atom M, which is bonded with 6 ligands. 4 are in a square plane, one is above and one is below. These pink lines, they are representing the coordinate bond between metal and ligand. So you can count, they are 6 in number. 6 bonds are being formed. And the geometry of this particular kind of coordination compound is constructed with the help of purple pen, purple lines. So when you see purple lines, the octahedral geometry is clearly seen. Now, since central metal atom is at its center, so we can have 3 axes here. So you can see here, this is x axis, this is y, and this is z axis. I hope it is clear, dear students. So ligands they approach along the axis. You can see here, ligand are bonded to the metal atom or ion along the axis. All right. If this portion is clear, then we'll look on to the next thing. See, central metal atom arranges, you have seen in the valence bond theory that to form coordinate bond, central metal atom or ion should have number of vacant d orbitals. All right. So these ligands are forming this coordinate bond with the empty d orbitals of the central metal atom or ion. So now d orbitals of the central metal atom or ion are total 5 in number. We know that d orbitals are total 5 in number. All right. As we make like this here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these 5 orbitals, their names also are known to you. dxy, yz, xz, x square minus y square and dz square. So you can see here their orientation along the axis or in between the axis. Now focus on the dxy. So you can see in case of dxy orbital, the lobes are between x and y axis. Alright, lobes are between x and y axis. So here this is dxy. In case of dyz, the lobes are between y and z axis. You can see here. In case of dxz or zx, the lobes are between x and z axis. So these are the 3 orbitals where the lobes of the d orbitals are in between the axis. Now, the fourth d orbital is dx square minus y square. If you look at the structure, you can understand it very clearly that lobes are on the axis, along the axis, not in between, along the axis. Alright, this is dx square minus y square. Now when you see dz square, here also both the lobes are along z axis. So we can say that out of 5 d orbitals, there are 3 d orbitals which are in between the axis. Alright, and there are 2 d orbitals which are along the axis. All right. Now, When ligands approach, you can see here, as I told you, ligands approach along the axis. Alright, along the axis, not between the axis. So, according to the CFT, dear students, when ligands approach a central metal atom or ion along the axis, then out of the 5d orbitals which are of same energy, they get split up. They get split up into two sets of orbitals. Clear? Now, which are those two sets? To understand that, look at the diagram here once again. Now, ligands are approaching along the axis. So, the orbitals which are located along the axis. So, along the axis, these two are there. X square minus y square and dz square. So, these orbitals, they get repelled most by the ligands. Whereas the orbitals which are present in between the axis, that is xy, yz and the xz orbitals, they get minimum repulsion from the ligands. So, depending upon the repulsion experienced by the approaching ligand, 5d orbitals in the central metal atom or ion split up into two sets. Which two sets? One set is comprised of dx square minus y square and dz square orbital. This is one set, alright. And second set is composed of these three orbitals which are in between the axis. They are xy, yz and zx. This is the second set. I hope it is clear, dear students. Now, let us see how this splitting takes place. Now, dear students, these are 5d orbitals of central metal atom or ion. Alright, before the ligand approaches. Clear? So, we call them degenerate orbitals. Degenerate orbitals. Alright, they are called as degenerate orbitals. We call them degenerate orbitals. Why? Because all these 5 are of same energy. When ligand approaches, alright, central metal atom or ion, clear? Then these degenerate orbitals, they reach to the hypothetical degeneracy. So here, all these 5 orbitals, they reach to the hypothetical degeneracy. In this hypothetical degeneracy also, all these 5d orbitals, they have the same energy. Now, when ligands enter into the field of central metal atom or ion, then these 5 orbitals, they split up into two sets. I told you few minutes back that why do they split up. So, let's have a look once again. Now, the orbitals which are on the way of the ligands, that is along the axis, they get repelled by the ligands, and the orbitals which are away from the ligands, that means the orbitals which are between the axis, they get minimum repulsion. So, due to this difference in the repulsion, the d orbitals of the central metal atom or ion split up into two sets. Now, which are these two sets? Let us see. The first set is the set of orbitals which get the maximum repulsion. So, there are these orbitals which get the maximum repulsion, and you know the name. One is dx square minus y square and other one is dz square. Now, the next one, the minimum repulsion will be faced by the 3 orbitals. Those 3 orbitals we know very well. They are dxy, yz and dzx or xz. Alright. Now, the set of these two orbitals which get the maximum repulsion, alright, they have energy more than the hypothetical degeneracy, and the set of orbitals which have the lesser repulsion, they have the lesser energy than the hypothetical degeneracy. Now, the set of these two orbitals which get maximum repulsion, they are called as EG set. EG set. And the set of orbitals which get the minimum repulsion, they are known as T2G set orbitals. So in EG set of orbitals, we have two orbitals, x square minus y square and d z square. And in T2G orbitals, we have three. In this set, we have three orbitals, xy, yz and zx orbital. Now let us see what is the difference of energy between these two orbitals. Alright, since we are talking about octahedral complexes. So here the discussion is totally based on only octahedral complexes. Alright. Now, the difference in the energy between these two is due to crystal field splitting. Alright. So this difference in the energy is also known as crystal field splitting energy. This crystal field splitting energy in case of octahedral complexes is represented by delta. To represent that we are dealing with the octahedral complexes, we write O or we call it naught. So we represent CFSE, crystal field splitting energy, as delta naught. Now let us see the difference of energy in these two orbitals. Now this is the hypothetical degeneracy. In the hypothetical degeneracy, there are 5 orbitals. Now these three orbitals, these three orbitals have got lesser energy than hypothetical degeneracy from the 2 orbitals. So from the hypothetical degeneracy, these set of orbitals, their energy is decreased by 2 by 5. Since there is a decrease in energy, so we write minus, which is also equals to 0.4 delta naught. Now, for EG set, from the hypothetical degeneracy, these two orbitals have more energy than 3 orbitals. So their energy is calculated as 3 by 5. Total 5 means 5 d orbitals. 3 means they have more energy than those 3 orbitals. The value comes 0.6 delta naught. So dear students, EG set of orbitals, they have more energy. Plus stands for raise in energy. More energy than the hypothetical degeneracy, and the value is 0.6 delta naught. And T2G set has got lesser energy than hypothetical degeneracy. How much less it is? Minus 0.4 delta naught. I hope this crystal field splitting is clear to you. In the next video, my dear students, I will be teaching you how to fill electrons in the splitted d orbitals.